Hey everybody, this is Norm Farrar from Private Label Legion, and welcome to another Oracles of Ecom video, where we bring you some of the brightest minds in the ecom space today. In this video, I have a very special guest, a very good friend of mine, Ritu Java, and she's going to show you how to improve your PPC performance by optimizing your campaign placements. Well, that's enough of me. Take it away, Ritu.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Ritu Java, and in today's session, I'm going to show you one way of improving your PPC performance, which is by optimizing your campaign placements. So let's jump right in. Okay, so let's talk about how to optimize your campaign placements. And before that, let's talk about what are placements. So when you run an ad on Amazon, they can choose to show that ad anywhere on their platform, right? Some of the common places in the case of sponsored product ads are top of search, which is the area above the fold, or product pages, which is the place where your product listing shows up, right? The product detail page. And these ads could be like carousels that are on that page, and there could be tons and tons of these carousels with sponsored ads. And the third placement is called rest of search. And rest of search is anything below the fold on page 1, and then all subsequent pages like page 2, page 3, page 4, and so on. And Amazon allows us to bid on top of search and product pages. You basically you can set up a bid multiplier, which allows you to bid higher in case you want your ad to show up above the fold, which is actually a good thing because, the bulk of all the sales on Amazon happen on page 1, right? And the bulk of all, sales on page 1 happen above the fold. So top of search placement is a highly coveted spot. And all of the big brands will, bid plenty of dollars to show their ads here. And there's almost like a, fight for this space because they're limited, right? There's sometimes 2 ads, sometimes 4. But in any case, this is the area where most of the eyeballs are. Now, obviously, it goes without saying that top of search is also a place that is the most expensive, right? You will be paying a higher CPC or a higher cost per click for showing up in this place. On the other hand, product pages could be cheaper. And also the conversions on product pages may not be as good depending on what category you are in, and also depending on how crowded that category is. You may or may not even have your ad show up in this carousel. So the point is that, if you're bidding on a particular placement, then you want to make sure by looking at the data that you're actually performing well on those placements. And then if there's an opportunity for you to show more or more prominently on any one of these placements, then you have the option of being able to bid extra in order to get a better visibility, right? So in the case of top of search, bidding a little bit higher in real time will allow Amazon to show your ads above the fold, and bidding higher in the case of product pages will help Amazon show your ad at the head of this carousel, which could, by the way, go up to 200, 300 pages even, right? So it's all about the visibility. It's no longer about just trying to rank on page 1, because even amongst ads, there's so much competition these days. I mean, you're lucky if your ads are even showing up for certain keywords, right? So we're going to talk about how to look at the data and how to cut back on placements that are poorly performing and leverage placements that are performing well, right? So these examples that I just shared are for sponsored product ads, but let's look at what it looks like for sponsored brand ads. So with sponsored brands, there's 2 placements. One is called top of search, and the other one is called other placements. And also, it's just another way of saying it's below the top of search, right? So anything that shows below the top of search and is a sponsored brand ad will be included in the below top of search data when you look at your placements reports. So, as you can see, the top of search for this type of ad is pretty prominent. It has a full-blown lifestyle photo, and it has 2 to 3 SKUs depending on what the layout is. But the below the search area is kind of compressed. It's a pretty compressed version of the top of search. It typically has one image of the SKU that you're advertising, and then just the logo, your headline, and a link to your storefront or to a product list page. So in our experience, this placement below the fold does not do as well. But of course, it's the data that should guide you. So what do you do if you discover that one of the placements isn't doing as well for you? So let's talk about how you can adjust placements, right? Because that's what we're trying to do here. So the one place that you can find data about sponsored product ads is within your campaign information, right? So if you drill down from the campaign into the placements section, you will be able to see a breakdown of how your ads were performing at each of the 3 placements. Now, just bear in mind that rest of search does not have a multiplier, whereas top of search and product pages do have multipliers that you can go up to 900% on. So if you look at the data here in the sample I've shown, it shows that the most impressions went to product pages, right? Over here, 81,000 plus impressions. The ACOS on product pages was 2.26%, which is amazing. And top of search had an ACOS of 12.87, right? Now, obviously, you can see that product pages is doing extremely well in this case. So, based on this data, I would like to kind of optimize product pages and try to leverage it because I have so much room owing to the really good ACOS there. So I would increase the bid multiplier here or the bid adjustment percentage here to maybe 200 this week. And then I observe it again next week. And if it's still doing great, I will inch up to 200, so 225, and then I will inch up to 250 the following week and so on. So like this, you can basically leverage a really good placement that is working for you. So there's no one size fits all, although people might tell you top of search is the best placement, but it's not always the best. You need to look at your ACOS, you need to look at your conversion rate and then decide which one to prioritize. All right, now let's look at the same thing for sponsored brand placements. In the case of sponsored brands, what happens is that by default, there is something called automatic bidding, and this is turned on by default. So you wouldn't even know that there was like 2 placements that you could have bid differently on. But the way to access that other, to access these placement modifiers is to disable the automated bidding option here. It's a little toggle that you just have to turn off. And then you can decrease the percentage all the way down to 99 for placements that are not top of search, right? So if you decide that you don't want your ads to show up as much on rest of search placements, then you can simply say decrease my multiplier by 99%. So what would happen here is that, for example, Amazon is saying a 40% decrease on a $5 bid would become $3, right? So your bid would be adjusted in real time. And that would basically mean that you would win less auctions in those other placements. And that's fine because that's what you want to do. Now, obviously, these placement modifiers are only going to take you so far because you cannot entirely block them or eliminate them because that's what, Amazon has designed this in a way that you can't block certain placements, but you can at least limit the impact or the damage from a poorly performing placement. So how do you do this with a bulk file? Because obviously you can't just do these adjustments manually for each campaign. I think the smarter way would be to do it with bulk files. And for this, you basically need to do a few steps. You want to download your sponsored brands placement report, and this will give you an idea of which placements are performing better than others, and then you can optimize those. Then you want to download your bulk file. And this is just a regular bulk file that includes all the performance data. So make sure you check that box to allow performance data to be downloaded. And you want this for your sponsored products and your sponsored brands. You don't need to do it for sponsored display because they haven't, at this point, they haven't provided us with any controls to change the placement values there. So just for sponsored products and sponsored brands. So download your bulk file. And then you want to make adjustments to those multipliers. And then finally, you just upload your bulk file back. So I'm going to show you how to do this in Excel, which I will. So I'm going to show you how to do this in Excel. So I've just downloaded the bulk files and the placement modifiers. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use the sponsored brand campaign placement report, which you download from your report center, and how you analyze that. So here I have a placements report. And as you can see, I have added some filters here. Just go into Excel and create your filter. And then you look at placement type. And what you want to do is you want to hide the top of search and just look at other placements to see if there's any other placements that you can turn off, right? Because Amazon just provides us controls for the other placements. You can't really do anything about the top of search. Now, if you look at the advertising cost of sale column, you will see that other placements are going from 0.5% ACoS, which is really great, all the way up to 77. So basically what this is showing you is that not all other placements are bad, because some of them might actually be pretty good, and you may want to increase the the bid multiplier on those placements so that you can start to leverage them. Now, you might want to add in another kind of measure for at least one order, because you don't want to act based on just one-offs. So that's just one thing to be careful about. Now that I know that these other placements have extremely high ACoS, like these are like the top three are 77%, 54, 92. I will go into the campaigns and match them or do a VLOOKUP with those campaign names and change the placement values in the bulk file, right? So I mean, you could do this because it's just three. You could do this through the UI as well. I mean, you could just go to the UI and manually turn it off from auto to manual and then change the placement multiplier. Or if you have a lot of campaigns, then you can just pick up those campaign names and then do a VLOOKUP and change those values. So now let's look at the actual bulk file here, right? So this is the bulk file. Let me go into sponsored brands first, since we were talking about that. So in the sponsored brands section here, you will find two columns, the bid optimization column and the bid multiplier column, right? So here there are two values for bid optimization. You have auto, which is when your toggle has been, set to the default value of automatic adjustments, and manual, where I have actually manually changed it or turned it off and added a bid multiplier. So as you can see here, the bid multiplier in this case, which always applies to not top of search, is minus 99%, right? So in this case, it's going to decrease your bid in real time by 99%, right? Here's another one that is 99. So if you want to find the campaigns that you don't want the rest of search to be running a high bid on, then you simply copy this and paste it that way. So what you've basically essentially done is that you have removed the toggle by switching from auto to manual, and you've set the multiplier to its max value of 99%. Now you could decide to do it in steps. Maybe you just want to watch the data for a bit, maybe just drop it by 40% now and then come back and check it out. That's up to you. But I'm just showing you how you can do it. So that's how you would basically turn off the rest of search placements in sponsored brands. When it comes to sponsored products, it's a little bit easier because you don't need to download the placement reports. For some reason, the sponsored products campaign bulk file is enough because it has both values of top of search and product pages here on separate rows. So you can actually change those percentages, and you can look at your ACoS values at those placements, and you can decide whether you want to increase or decrease them from right here. So there we have it. I hope this was helpful. With this method, you will be able to optimize some of the placements that might have been bleeding you money, or placements that you might be able to leverage and grow your sales in those placements. Thank you, and see you soon.
All right, thank you, Ritu. Now remember, you can hear all sorts of great tips on the Oracles of Ecom series, but all they are great tips unless you put them into action. All right, I hope you liked this video. And once again, thank you to our guest, Ritu Java. And don't forget to give us a like or comment below. And if you want more great content like this, subscribe to the channel below.